Storytime about why my aunt put me back into foster care. Yes, she put me back into foster care. So a little background information, I was 15 years old and a sophomore in high school. But whenever I was 12 years old, I was in a very abusive household. And I had two younger sisters, one was 11 and the other one was 9. Fast forward, all of us were put into foster care. I got placed in the many shelters/group homes because of my behavioral issues. While I was going through all of this, my sisters were both in steady homes, so that kind of sucked in. I was happy for them, but at the same time, I was going through hell. But eventually, my grandma and my dad passed away, so my aunt decided that she wanted my sisters and I. So she got her foster license, and the days leading up to whenever we were supposed to move them with her were absolute garbage. There was this one girl who was 19 years old. Her and I did not get along, and I was supposed to leave that Wednesday, but I didn't want to wait, so I decided that I was going to get myself kicked out in hopes that I would be able to move them with my aunt sooner. So like I said, I found a way that I was gonna get kicked out, and it was by fighting this girl. And yes, I won. But fast forward, eventually my sisters and I moved in with my aunt. And if you guys ever heard the phrase honeymoon, you probably think of a relationship, right? Wrong. I was actually shocked about how fast everything went downhill whenever we got there. Like eventually my cousins just started being mean to me for no reason, while they favored my sisters. And when I say cousin, you guys are probably thinking they're around my age. No, they were actually in their 20s. Hell, one was even close to 30. Like, these were grown-ass adults beating on a 15-year-old. So eventually, my cousins, my aunt, and I are fighting almost every single day. And the one day my sister and I got into an argument that eventually turned into us fighting. And my cousins love to jump in every fight that my sister and I have. Well, they jumped in this fight, and instead of helping break it up, they actually made it worse. The one was holding my leg down, and eventually I got it up and I kicked her in the face. And when my aunt thought that it was my fault, sir, she sent me to foster care. Story time about how my boyfriend was seeing me and some other girl at the same time. So a little background information, I was 16 years old and a junior in high school, and we're gonna call my boyfriend Tyler. So Tyler and I met back in middle school, but we were like barely even friends. Well, fast forward to my junior year in high school, he reached out to me and eventually him and I were talking every single day. Feels fast forward 3 months, him and I were definitely more than a friendship because we would do everything that couples would do just without the label. Well, the one day him and I are hanging out and we're taking pictures on his Snapchat and sending them to his friends. And then I feed that his number one best friend is this girl named Bailey. Now, the reason why I was on his best friends list was because I didn't have Snapchat. But the only reason why this is a problem is because him and his friends Snapchat each other all day. And I'm talking like spam the farts out of each other. So for her to be at the top of his best friend list, they have to be Snapchatting a lot. So I have asked her if it was this one girl that we both knew. Like I said, he's clearly been Snapchatting this girl a lot. So then I asked her if it's this Bailey girl that we actually knew, and he was like, no, this is Bailey Moore. That other Bailey is disgusting. Like, as a, what the fuck is so special about this one? Just kidding, not really. So I'm super glad I've been cannot get this girl out of my head because he didn't even try to explain who she was or why she had any significance in his life at all. So fast forward to spring break. He told me that whenever we got back from vacation, he wanted me to meet his parents, but I was so happy about because our relationship is finally progressing. And then I remembered that he's supposed to be under his hen Tom's prom with some other girl, of course. So I decided to look up this Bailey girl just to see where she's from, and what do you know, she's from his hometown. So fast forward, I ended up getting in trouble for going out and getting drunk, and my parents that I run away, and then we went through it. And they found out that Tyler and I were doing the nasty, so they guarded me. And they were like, using tell Tyler that he can text or call us if he wants to talk to you. I didn't get any texts the whole entire time that I was grounded. So fast forward a whole week, I finally text him like for part 3. Story time about my toxic ex-best friend. So a little background information, I had a very close guy friend who we're really called Max. Now, Max is 2 years older than me, but due to our families being super close, him and I became best friends. Growing up, I saw him as kind of an older brother, and then eventually as we grew up, I saw him as my best friend, until I realized that he was actually a terrible person, and I listed all of his signs that he was not a real friend. Like 1, our first fight, I told him something that I didn't want anybody else knowing. And what do you know, right after I tell him, my family knows, his family knows, my crush knows, all of our friends know. After this, I probably should have distanced myself, but he apologized that maybe he'd friends again. That was sign number 1. Sign number 2, his huge change in attitude. One second, he would be extremely weird to me, and then he would be this really sweet and caring guy, and his apologies were the rest. So it was really hard not to forgive him. He was like a master manipulator. Number 3, we only talked whenever it was convenient for him. Like seriously, we would never talk unless he needed something. I think we left off on sign number 3, which was the only time that we would talk was when it was convenient for him. He would never reach out, which left me being the one who was constantly trying to preserve our friendship or whatever was left of it. Like all of our messages were literally me, and it made me seem really needy and like I was putting in way too much effort because he would literally answer was the most simple messages. Like, yeah, okay, sure. And he would only talk to me whenever he was with his friends. Sign number 4. It felt like he was embarrassed of me. Now, I know that I was 2 years younger than him, but we were still friends, and I really don't think that's that much of a difference. Like, he would never want to be seen with me. The last sign, he would literally always talk about me behind my back. And I thought this was just rumors at first, until finally several people told me that it was not a rumor. He would say things like, oh, she's ugly, she's so mature, she's annoying and childish, she's so annoying. And then I finally decided to cut him off. Because if the bad outweighed the good, was it really worth keeping that person in my life? Story time about why you just can't bring some friends around your boyfriend. So a little background information, I'm a 17 and a junior in high school, and I have been best friends with this one girl who we're going to call Lily for about 2 years. Now, Lily and I weren't your ordinary best friends. We were the ones that would party together, but we would never talk about anything serious. And when I mean serious things, I mean like a secret that you don't want anybody to know. Just for a little example, the one time I told her that I thought I was pregnant, and clearly she knew that I was super scared, and I told her I don't want anybody to know, please don't say anything. In about 30 minutes, I had like 20 people asking me if I was pregnant, and then somehow my parents found out. She's also the best friend that you keep away from any guy that you like. Well, I was dating this guy who worked at the Garrett for 6 months. And obviously now that I have a boyfriend, I've stopped hanging out with her as much. But my whole thing is she would never give me a heads up on plans. She would literally just text me and be like, hey, we're going out tonight. But I would text her back and I would be like, sorry, I can't. I already have plans with Jared. So this made her really upset. So like I said, she was getting very upset with the fact that she would ask me to make plans last minute and I would tell her that I'm busy with my boyfriend. And this went on throughout Jared and I's whole relationship. But it wasn't like I would ignore her. I would still hang out with her. I just wouldn't go and party and stuff like that because I respected my relationship. She would also always ask me to not bring my boyfriend to these parties, and that's another reason why I wouldn't go. So the one night she's like, listen, come out with me. You can bring your boyfriend. It won't be a problem, which was a shocker. So I was a little bit skeptical, but I said, okay. So we go to this party, and usually whenever I'm with Lily, I get really messed up, and I was trying to pace myself this night. And then she's like, come on, you don't mind if she gets drunk, right, Jared? Of course, him wanting me to have fun, he said no, he doesn't mind. She calls us an Uber, and then she asked for my boyfriend's Snapchat just so that way she could check up on us because I was too drunk. The entire ride home, Lily is blowing up Jared's phone, and we just think that she's trying to check on us. No. Instead, when we got home, we opened his phone, and it was actually Lily sending him a bunch of naked pictures. Story time about the worst day of my life. So a little background information. I was 16 at the time, and I was either in 8th grade or 9th grade, but I really don't remember. And I had this boyfriend who we are going to call Cameron. We had been dating for 3 years, but before him and I got together, we were best friends. Well, I also was in a friend group with myself, Amber, and this girl named Sky. Now, I wouldn't really call Sky a pick-me girl. She was more a bit jealous best friend. For example, the one day we went shopping for dresses, and I picked this one out that I really liked and that looked super good on me. Amber was like, OMG, you look so beautiful. And then Sky, she was like, that dress is ugly and it makes you look fat. Well, after that, I told her I didn't care what she said and that I was going to get the dress anyways. Well, she didn't like the fact that I wasn't going to listen to her, so she didn't talk to me for 2 whole weeks. And then after, she texted me saying that she forgives me, even though I didn't apologize, but okay. Well then, me being stupid, I introduced her to my boyfriend. Bad idea. So like I said, me being stupid, I introduced her to my boyfriend. Well, after that, Cameron started acting really weird. Like him and I, we would literally hang out with each other 24/7. And now he was always too busy for me and we would only talk at school. And because I was in all the smart classes and stuff, I would go over to his house to tutor him. Because, I was like the one who was winning every single fucking award for being smart. Well, I came over on the day that I would usually tutor him. And when I went over there, his mom was like, oh, he's busy, he's out with his friends. So then I went home and I got bored and I opened Instagram. Well, I see that he's at a party with Sky and they didn't even invite me. So I asked him about it. And he said, oh, it was her and her boyfriend's party. I was like, that wasn't really an excuse for why you didn't invite me. So he apologized and I forgave him. Well, 5 weeks later, I found out that him and her did the nasty and she got pregnant. And then there was a rumor going around that they made out in the bathroom. So I blocked both of them and never saw them again. He would literally always talk about story time about how my fiance cheated on me with 10 other girls. So a little background information, I met this guy on Instagram and we're gonna call him Blaze. Now, when him and I met, he was stationed in Korea and he refused to ask me to be his girlfriend until he came home. So I waited an entire year for him to ask me to be his girlfriend, which little t-shirt of a red flag, but he made it seem romantic in some twisted, weird way. So fast forward, he comes home in February, and he kept to his promise. The first day that we met, he asked me to be his girlfriend. So I say yes, fast forward. Him and I started having a ton of arguments because of things that he was doing while he was in Korea. Fast forward, we're officially together for 9 months. So fast forward, of course, he gets deployed to Europe in like September of 2022. So this man decides that he's gonna propose to me in July and then beg me to get married to him before he leaves. Now, I may have ignored the first red flags, but I'm not dumb. Tell like I said, this man begs me to get married to him before he leaves, and thank goodness I didn't because divorce papers would have been served the same day. So fast forward, he starts acting super weird. He's going out 24/7, he's getting drunk, he's not wearing the ring that he begged me to get him. Yes, he literally begged me for a ring so that way women would know that he had a girlfriend. Well then, of course, I go DM from a girl on Instagram asking if him and I were still together. And then after talking to her, I realized he literally made a Tinder 2 days after he got deployed. And what was his excuse? Oh, I wanted to meet friends to teach me German. And listen, I was not born last night, so I kept that conversation going because I wanted to get to the bottom of what the fuck was actually going on. And then of course he finally comes clean that he cheated on me with a bunch of girls. But and you want to know the icing on the cake? One of them was a minor. Yup. After I leave him, he has the audacity to ask for my ring that, but I threatened to tell the sergeant and then I sold it for double what it was worth. Story time about how I unintentionally almost drowned my sister. So a little background information, I was 8 years old and my sister was 5. And during the summer, my sister and I never really got to go swimming because pool memberships were really expensive and my family did not want to take us to a public pool. So every summer we would go to my grandpa's house so that way we could go swimming, but he lived like 2 hours away so we would only go there once a summer. And since we only got to go swimming this one time, we would usually be in the pool 24/7. So fast forward, we're all at my grandpa's house. And I finished my dinner first, so I went outside and I put my sister's floaties on because I'm pretty sure that mine actually popped. Quick thing, we were allowed to go into the pool without floaties on if we stayed in the shallow end of the pool because we couldn't swim for shit. Anyway, so I put her floaties on and I darted the deep end and she comes outside like a bat out of hell and she starts screaming and crying. And being the big sister I am, I'm just swimming around, ignoring her, enjoying my time in the pool. Like I said, I have her floaties on, I'm in the deep end of the pool, she's screaming at me, telling me to take them off, I'm ignoring her. And then what does her crazy ass decide to do? She decides to get into the pool and try and get them from me. Now my sister was super tiny. And even being in the shallow end of the pool, she really couldn't stick her head above the water. I'm pretty sure that all swimming pools are like this, but there's a slope that goes into the deep end and it's super slippery. So she comes over to try and get the floaties from me and then she slips. It was literally like a cartoon where the cartoon characters are moving their feet backwards really fast. And I felt that she was just jolting around, so I'm just sitting there staring at her. And so she actually starts choking and then my dad hurries up and runs outside, thank God. I feel like dads just have superpowers to know whenever their kids are in trouble. Anyway, so he jumps into the pool and he saves her. He ends up spraining his ankle and I wasn't allowed in the pool for the rest of the weekend. Now, of course, this had me pretty pissed off, but now that I'm an adult, I can see why. Story tell about how my best friend was a snake. So a little background information, I'm 16 and in 9th grade. And I've been best friends with this girl who we're gonna call Callie since 5th grade. Well, fast forward to 8th grade, there was this guy in my class that I really liked. And obviously I told Callie about it because like duh, she is my best friend. And she has never talked to this boy. She never even knew who he was before I had told her about him. And by the way, we're gonna call him Jake. Well, eventually him and I started talking and she was hyping us up like she really wanted us to be together so bad. And I was really feeling the love and support. Well, not long after that, I had to move to another town for like 3 months because of my dad. So Jake and we stopped talking after me being gone for like 2 weeks. And of course, not long after that, one of my friends from home texted me and she's like, hey, you know Callie and that guy that you were talking to, right? AKA Jake. Obviously, I say yes. So like I said, I had to move away for 3 months because of my dad, and Jake and I at least stopped talking about 2 weeks after I had left. Even I get a text from my friend saying, hey, telling my friend that you were talking to Jake. Obviously, I say yes. And then she goes, oh, well, they're talking about getting together. And I was livid. I'm like, dude, I've literally been gone for like less than a month and you're already trying to get with the guy that I liked. What the actual what? So I bawled my eyes out for like 2 hours straight. And then it was like that I'm going to confront her. And she literally says to me, like she has the audacity to say that she's been in love with him for so long, even before I had told her about him. Which is a lie, because as I told you guys earlier, she didn't know this man. Well, anyways, Jake ended up friend-zoning her and she didn't even really apologize to me. She said sorry, but like she didn't acknowledge the importance of the situation and how it made me feel. She just stopped and saying sorry would make it all better. Story time about how one of my best friends started blackmailing me. So a little background information, I was 16 years old and a junior in high school. They were parents and friends with this other married couple who has a son that is around my age. He's 17, about to be 18, and what do they call him, Derek? Well, him and I somehow ended up getting into the same friend group, and he got my number, and him and I started texting a lot. So fast forward, my birthday comes around, and I end up having a party. And some of my cousins were around my age as well, so they were there, and my whole friend group was there, including Derek, of course. Well, surprise, surprise, there were booze and marijuana there, so I ended up getting kinda messed up. And then, as you could guess, Derek and I did the nasty. And surprise again, he had took some pictures and videos of me drinking and stuff. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he sent me a message that literally said for me to send him nude pictures and do stuff for him physically, or else he was gonna send these pictures to my parents. So like I said, he took some pictures and videos of me doing some stuff for my party, and then all of a sudden I get a message out of nowhere saying that I need to send him nude photos and do stuff for him physically, or else he was gonna send these pictures to my parents, and the whole school literally blackmailed me. Now, of course, I didn't want my parents to find any of this crap out, so it became a regular thing between him and I, where I would send him pictures and then do stuff for him, and this went on for a while. Fast forward, thankfully, I'm about to graduate, and he doesn't blackmail me anymore since both of us don't want a serious relationship. I don't really know how that makes sense, but yeah. Story time about how this girl pretended to be my best friend just to go on vacation with me. So a little background information, I was 14 and a freshman in high school, and where did I call this girl Sophia? So Sophia and I met whenever we were in 6th grade, and we were inseparable. And shortly after her and I had became best friends, my mom thought that it would be nice for us to go on vacation to Hawaii in 2 years. She also said that my brother and I would be able to bring one friend each. So I asked Sophia if she wanted to come to Hawaii in 2 years, and of course she said yes. Keep in mind, I was popular, Sophia was kinda lame, and I'm not even saying that just to be mean, but it's true. So over the next 2 years, her and I are hanging out every day, sneaking out together because we also live like 2 minutes away from each other. And my brother decided that he was gonna bring his friend Noah, and I had a crush on Noah, and Sophia knew this, but she would always flirt with him in front of me. I really should have saw this as a red flag, but we love to ignore those. And then out of nowhere, Sophia starts dressing like me and starts getting more popular in school. So like I said, she had been flirting with this guy that she knew that I liked, and then she starts dressing like me and getting more popular, which I didn't really care because I was still her best friend. Maybe because she didn't really have any other friends, so fast forward, vacation comes around and we all go to Hawaii. We had the best time ever. No, it's a world, and I barely hear from her, but I was putting in all the effort, texting her every day, and her responses were dry as fuck. And then she had this boyfriend named Brandon, which I guess that could have been the reason why she wasn't talking to me as much. Because you get into a relationship and all your focus goes towards that, especially at this age. But the only reason why she started dating him was because he was popular, so they break up and she stopped talking to me altogether. She even blocked me on Instagram. So I asked her what happened, and she said that I was a controlling bitch and she didn't want to be friends with me, which doesn't even make any sense because I'd never been controlling to her. And then she starts texting me like everything was okay, and this went on for a little bit. But after story time about why I will never babysit ever again. So a little background information, I was 17 and a senior in high school. And my parents were super annoyed about the fact that I hadn't had a job since I was 14, so their friends just happened to need a babysitter, so they told me that I had to do it. So fast forward, I go over there super early in the morning, and the mom had already left for work, and the dad, who we're gonna call Will, he was just about to leave, and before he walked out the door, he told me that there was a list of things that needed to be done before they got home. So their daughter Autumn, who was 5 years old, she was still sleeping, and I was reading through the list, and it was just normal stuff, like nap time at 2 o'clock, no pop after 7 o'clock, that sort of stuff. And then it had an arrow pointing towards the back. And when I flipped the page over, it said, "By the way, Autumn is scared to bathe by herself, so please get a shower with her." And I was not comfortable with that, so I called my mom and I told her about it. So like I said, I flipped the page over and it said that their daughter was scared to bathe alone, so I would have to take a shower with her. And I called my mom and I told her about it. And she was like, "Well, honey, that doesn't sound that weird. Don't you remember when your little brother was scared of the toilet and we would have to take him to the bathroom and stand there with him for 20 minutes while he tried to go to the bathroom?" So I was super annoyed that she was even comparing those two situations. Because first of all, that was my little brother. Second of all, this is just freaking weird. So I told her to bring my bathing suit over, and then I did everything on the list. Fast forward, Autumn said that she really liked me, so her parents wanted me to come over and babysit again. So I did, and whenever I was setting up the shower that day, there was a stack of towels sitting on the toilet, and when I picked it up to move it, a camera fell out of the pile of towels as soon as I picked it up, and it was recording. I was really weirded out, but I wanted to show it to my mom, so I put it in my book bag and went home that night, like for part 3. Story time. My boyfriend cheated on me with the girl best friend. So a little background information, I was 17 and a junior in high school, and my boyfriend and I had been dating for a year. But just a little backstory about when we got together. So there were definitely some red flags that I missed, okay? One of them being that he had a girl best friend. And I don't care what y'all have to say if that makes me insecure or what, but coming from someone who has been the girl best friend, I knew this was not good at all. Especially whenever we first started dating and she was still being super friendly with him, meaning she would hold his hand, she would hang on him 24/7. And when I told him I was super uncomfortable with that and I felt like there needed to be some boundaries, he was like, yeah, I told you what it was whenever we got together. So if you don't like that, then just break up with me. Looking back on it now, that was also a red flag because I feel like he was telling me to break up with him so that way he didn't have to break up with me. So like I said, she would still hang all over him and he pretty much told me, if you don't like that, then you can leave. Obviously, I did not want to leave because I liked him and he was my boyfriend. So I just kept putting up with it, and eventually, we got 6 months into our relationship. So at that point, I'm thinking maybe I have a little bit more authority, to be like, hey, I don't like the way that she acts around you. You guys can't hang out like that anymore. And they would hang out alone together. He would take her to dinner. I literally tried telling him that the stuff that they do together is relationship stuff. And he was like, that's not true at all because we did all this stuff before you and I even got together. So anyways, like I said, 6 months in, I'm like, hey, I don't like the way that you guys are hanging around each other. Once again, he gives me the same excuse. So he pretty much said that he didn't care. And the one night him and I were supposed to hang out, but he canceled on me last minute. And her and I didn't get along, and she never Snapchatted me before, but then I get a Snapchat of her and him making out at his house.
Storytell about how my sister sold my nudes. Yes, my own sister. So a little background information, I was in 12th grade and I was pretty popular, and my sister on the other hand, she was in 9th grade. Not even saying this to boost my ego, but she was jealous with me and everybody could tell. Mainly because of the fact that she didn't have her high school glow up, she low-key still looked like a 6th grader. And there were very few guys who gave her attention, and some of the guys would even tell her that I was hotter than her. But that did not help the situation at all. For a week I even paid attention to any of these guys because I had a boyfriend. And my sister and I still shared a room even though our brothers got their own rooms. So she could literally go through my shit anytime she wanted. Well, since we shared a room and I never thought that she would sell my nudes, I would take these exposing pictures of myself while she was in the room. Well, she had this one friend named Jessica who also was weirdly obsessed with me. I think she was saying how funny it would be to sell someone's nudes. So like I said, my sister had this friend, and the one night they were talking about how funny it would be to sell somebody's pics. We all laughed, joked about it, the conversation was over and done with. I thought that was it. Like, in all honesty, I thought it was one of those things where you designate plans to do something and then after the conversation you never talk about it again and you never actually do it. You said you were gonna do because it was so out of pocket. So my sister's friend slept over that night and I looked up, went to school earlier because I have volunteer work to do, so my sister usually just takes the bus. Well, I accidentally left my computer at school, so I called my sister, asked her if she could grab it and bring it into school. Now, my computer is connected to my phone. Well, your fake decided to be little creeps, and they went on my computer and they found my pictures and they sent them to themselves. And since my phone and computer are hooked up, I was able to see that they sent the pictures to themselves. So I'd start glowing up her phone, but by first period, I had a bunch of people telling me that they were about to buy my pictures. My sister literally made an ad and put it on Snapchat. My boyfriend broke up with me and I never talked to her.